I've been watching Fear Factor a lot. And there's this one episode where the mom and the son are like hugging and kissing all the time.
God.
I was like, not that good. Don't be that good.
And everyone around them acknowledged that they're being weird and they're still being all touchy. Like,
so weird.
There wasn't a second that they weren't touching each other.
And like
the whole episode.
The mom she was young. She must have had him really young because she was attractive and she was wearing very little and had big fake titties.
Kept showing her, like, yeah, it's very strange.
And he was probably like 18 and they were just embracing each other. Like, I feel like
they looked like a couple.
There's almost no chance that they're not.
They had like the body language that a couple would, like hugging and.
So if he was fucking his mom, do you think the question is, would they be more just concealed with their affection,
right,
or would they not be able to help it, or would they think in their minds that it was okay? If they were fucking, I feel like that is how they would act, because you have to be so twisted in your mind to do that. That I feel like maybe for them that is toned down. Usually it's just...
Maybe. I have no idea.
You don't? It's towards the end if anyone's curious. I watched every single episode of Fear Factor. Because with
Is this like new?
No.
No.
This is like reruns
they added
of the Joe Rogan one?
160 episodes, or like 157 episodes they added to Hulu, every single one. And because I'm in front, with Theodore, I have the most and the least free time I've ever had in my life.
It's very weird. Yeah.
So a lot of we're just feeding him and burping him and trying to get him to go to sleep. And we're just sitting in front of the TV the whole day. So I've watched 157 episodes of Fear Factor since he's been born.
Because you can't really watch good content because then you're not paying attention enough.
Right.
So you're wasting it. So, and you got to watch something that you can just kind of like look away and then look back and you're still not missing anything.
Right.
So Fear Factor is perfect.
I mean, I loved it. It was really interesting though because the show was canceled ultimately because the first couple seasons were like huge success, crazy ratings, a world phenomenon.
Yeah, I used to watch it in Israel.
And the ratings were falling off every season, falling off. And when I first started, I was like, how is that possible? The first episode is so shocking. I could not believe what I was seeing. The very first challenge in that first episode, they tie the contestants to the back of a fucking horse and drag their ass at full speed on the ground.
On like a dirt, like rocky.
And they had to hold on to a rope for as long as they could, and they were getting fucked up. They were getting like their shirt. One dude's shirt was torn completely off. They were all bloody and cut up, and it was like everyone was like terrified. It was shocking, and I don't know for what reason, if it was legal or what, but like as the show went on, I feel like less actually dangerous things happened, where they were like, and that's what was so great about that. Especially first and second episode, is that like every episode was just shocking.
You mean first, second seasons?
Yeah, sorry. Like, I was like, how the fuck they get away with that? It's literally, like, they used to execute people that way, where they drag them at the back of a horse. It's literally, the dude's shirt was shredded off his body.
And then the other side of it is the animal torture.
Oh my God, it's so... So
you would never be able to do it today,
dude. It's hard to watch. The worst thing I saw. So a lot of times they're blending up insects, live insects like worms and cockroaches and beetles and this shit. They always turn them into smoothies. So they blend them alive. But the craziest one was they had a huge bullfrog, like this big, that they blended alive and showed.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I still haven't seen that part because I was looking away with Theodore. I gotta go back and there was other. I mean, even the insects is hard to watch because it's not like there's like huge beetles and cockroaches and worms, and they're alive and they're just blending them alive and showing it on camera.
And then the person just straight chugs it.
I feel like the most disgusting one that I've seen was a dead rat that they
Oh my
blended,
fucking God.
and
So good.
then they had to drink it. And
well,
it
hold on.
was like,
Set it up.
yeah, you set it up.
They go out to this. If you've been in New York City, you know there's all these hot dog stands where they sell a hot dog for like $1, and they take it out of this old water with tongs. So they're on the streets of New York City. What does he take out? Not a hot dog, a dead rat, a whole dead rat. Puts it in a blender with a little sewage water and fucking blends it right there, an entire dead rat. Hair, skeleton, tail, I mean everything. It's a whole rat.
A lot of hair, really gross.
And then he puts it in a bowl and gives them a spoon. And they have to, I was actually shocked because they ate it all. Like there was 2 guys that had challenge, and they both didn't have any trouble eating that dead rat, which shocked the hell out of me. They were talking about how they had like hair stuck in their teeth. Fear Factor is a crazy show, man. I watched every fucking episode, but I have to admit, it got really boring towards the end. And watching Joe Rogan's transformation is funny too. Like you can tell his testosterone levels are going through the roof towards the end. Like they came back for the last season. They came back for like a little special, and he comes back and he's all tatted up, both of his arms full tats. He's like more yacked than ever. You can tell he's been shooting testosterone into his testicles, and taking Alpha Brain and shit. Like
Apparently, some guys sued them for that rat episode.
Oh, really? Because I saw
Because
those.
apparently he couldn't stomach what he watched.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Wait,
but,
it was just a viewer?
Just a viewer.
It was so gross that he sued.
Yeah.
well, so I think the most obscene stuff I've seen, and I'm like an expert because I don't think anyone's watched as much Fear Factor as I did in that time. I would just watch it every day, all day.
Did you know that they just recently revived it?
No, they didn't.
Wait, what?
They did, apparently. It's on MTV, and the host is Ludacris now.
I'm not
Are
watching.
you
Luda.
kidding?
I'm not
Wait,
kidding.
how long has
What?
that been on?
Since 2017.
What?
So, like, relatively recently. Yeah, there
That's
is.
got to be so tame. We're gonna have to watch that
We
and report
gotta
back.
check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Ludicrous.
What the heck?
So, in my opinion, Joe Rogan made that show. That show would have been nothing, and I'll tell you why. Because Joe Rogan is such like an alpha male character, and he peer pressures people, he shames people, he humiliates people, and he really amps up the environment. And he actually is really good at encouraging people through the challenges who wouldn't otherwise do it. And he's so perfect for that show. He made that show. Ludicrous. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to picture, but yeah, apparently it's a thing. 2 seasons are out.
Like there was one scene. Let me tell you about how Joe Rogan's good for the show. I'm telling you, I'm an expert at Fear Factor. He goes, there's one challenge where they have to eat a giant Madagascar hissing cockroach. They're huge, living cockroaches.
Nope.
Oh, that's nothing on that show.
And so one of the girls, or I think it was a celebrity edition, and one of them failed the competition. So they're like, okay, I'll tell you what, if you eat this hissing Madagascarian cockroach whole, you can come to the finals. And she's like, no fucking way, no fucking way. And Joe Rogan's like, I'll eat one. And he takes an entire hissing cockroach. I mean, they're huge, man. I'm talking like both of your thumbs together.
Just dropped you a link with pictures of them. Yeah, they're fucking
Oh,
enormous.
you have a picture?
Oh, that's not.
Oh, you don't want to see a picture? I mean, here, you watch the show. You see how big they are?
Jesus.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, this guy, they're enormous. And so he puts the whole fucking thing in his mouth and he eats it. He's trying to be a badass. He was really badass, but he started gagging. But
it
he was
it.
gagging and I think laughing because he was shocked by how disgusting it was.
Was it
Yeah.
alive when he
Yeah.
ate it?
Yeah.
He probably felt it
They're
wriggling
always
around
alive.
and shit. Oh, God. Fucking
They eat like live scorpions, tarantula.
Leeches.
Yeah.
I can't hang with that shit, man. I can't
No.
watch that show.
And so he goes, he gets it down and he goes, that's why I'm the host of Fear Factor. Because he can, He at times almost yaks.
Yeah.
He at times, but he always holds it together. But the worst thing I ever saw on that show was they put the contestants, again, always the worst ones they somehow get through, but they put the contestants in a tank full of cow intestines. And what they had to do was bite into the intestines and suck out the shit, spit it into a cup, and then drink it. So they had these huge long intestines, and they would bite into it, and it would be squirting everywhere. And they would suck it up, or they would sponge it out like that, and they would spit it into a cup. And when they would bite in, it was really juicy. It would squirt everywhere. It was full of shit. And then they had to drink it. And I'm like, how the fuck did that even... How is that?
And people always do it.
How do you survive that? Yeah.
Somehow they do it.
Well, that one actually nobody had any problem with.
And the rat. The one that disgusted me the most.
Those dudes ate it like chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
They did.
So about that one, the guy sued them for $2.5 million.
Dude, just
claiming he felt so disgusted from watching the stunt. He felt dizzy and lightheaded and vomited. And he claimed that his disorientation was so severe that he ran into a doorway and seriously injured himself.
Bro, that is a fucking...
And then the judge threw it out.
Thank you.
Obviously.
Damn, that was during the era where everyone was just suing for anything.
Yeah. And also, so you told me that they had an episode when the contestant had to drink donkey semen.
Yeah, that didn't air.
So, yeah.
Because it was so
rejected
obscene.
by NBC.
It was the only episode that NBC ever rejected where it was a twins episode. You can find it online, but they cut it. And actually, it wasn't on Hulu. I wasn't sure because they re-released it. But it's a twins episode, and there's these really, as I remember, cute, like petite, blonde twins. And he goes, what you'll have to do, he brings out a huge pitcher of donkey semen. And they have to eat both. So one of them is donkey urine and one of them is donkey semen. And one has to choose which one. And I'm thinking like, how is this possible? And they do it.
They do it?
They do it. And then there's a guy couple that does it too.
Wow.
Chugging an entire pitcher of semen. Yeah. Crazy, right? Then there's another one. So that was the only episode that was cut. But they used to do, like, the stunts they would do in the beginning were so insane. Like, they would shut down, like, huge parts of Los Angeles and city and get, like, access crazy to, like, huge skyscrapers in L.A. And they're crawling out. And it was really amazing. And then towards the end, I think they just got lazy or lower budget because they were just in the desert on a crane pretty much.
But in a way, they had bigger budget because they started doing all these crazy explosions and like destroying cars every time.
The producers didn't understand.
No, it's like
more
it's
money.
not about more money.
It's the YouTube Red syndrome.
Yeah.
Us and all of our creator fans that we know, whenever they pitch to YouTube Red, they're like, okay, but we need to justify that we're charging people. I guess it's YouTube Premium now.
Yeah.
So we need to spend more money. I'm like, well, fuck, shut up. Like I pitched them a really good concept. I wanted to make this character, the Vape Nation guy, except I go to different subcultures and study the subculture and assimilate. So every episode I become a different guy. So like in one episode I'd be like become a skater. And they said that it was too low budget. Something that I can make that could exist in front of a paywall. I'm like, are you fucking stupid?
Yeah.
I need good people. That's what I'm paying for, not explosions. I'm paying for good people. They don't get it. These people don't understand what makes a good show. They don't even understand it, and they work in the industry. The other one that was super obscene was like they have cow blood, like a swimming pool of just cow blood.
They've done that a couple of times.
And to see someone covered in blood, like they were bobbing for cow hearts or something, and they come up and their head is just covered in blood. And it's just it's so sick. It really is just so sick.
And the other thing about this show is that it's such a timepiece. It's so funny to watch.
Frosted tips, puka shell necklaces,
everyone,
fake tits.
All the girls are like models.
Fake tits, though.
Yeah.
That
all
was so
blonde, tan, they're always wearing a bikini.
Hmm. Yeah, always.
It's
And then they
really
always make
funny.
sure to have a water challenge, and then they do like a slow pan up the body.
Oh yeah, when they take off their clothes, they always do like a shot where they
Mhm.
show everything.
They try to pretend like that's not what they're doing. They try to be cool about it, but it's so obvious. And all the guys look like before 4. It's great. I seriously loved almost every episode. Yeah, it's on Hulu, every episode. I highly recommend it. But apparently the show obviously was so popular at first and then tapered off. But in syndication, it's like huge. It's like a huge show, like $700 million. I wonder if Joe has a back end on that.
Must have, right?
Because
He gets
He
residuals
makes
for
the
sure.
show.
it's not for sure. He wasn't that famous when he started doing it.
Huh.
But he did every single episode, so I'm pretty sure that he got some
feel
good
like-
conditions.
And he wasn't
If he-
super famous, but he was on news radio by that time.
Well,
so
I-
like he was like a known actor and
I-
stuff.
Yeah, but no,
Like
he wasn't unknown, but this
maybe-
show made him famous.
Maybe
For
it
sure.
didn't in the beginning, but I feel like as they kept doing more seasons, there must have been a renegotiation.
Yeah.
Because he really makes the show.
But they could have just given him a really nice per episode fee, not knowing that it would be like so syndicated.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Joe's really well off. But I don't know, because that's like, if he had back end on Fear Factor, that's like 100 million, like crazy numbers. Maybe not. What do I know? What the fuck do I know? I don't know how does it work. Because if the show made $700 million in syndication, I don't know what's a normal back end. Let's say 1.5%. Because he's just a guy. Maybe it's 5%.
Residual, well,
Like
I'm not completely sure either, but
that seems like a lot to get a whole like 5%.
it's usually per airing more so than just like a flat fee when they sell
Okay,
it
well-
into syndication.
okay,
so like
well,
every time it airs, he gets a little bit of money, assuming he does have residuals on it.
Well, if he got 5%, which seems high to me, I don't know, but that'd be $35 million.
It's a lot of dough.
Yeah, it's a lot of dough.
It's a lot of donkey semen you can buy with that.
But I'm sure he makes that about every episode of the podcast, so he's all good. But it's all on Hulu, dude. I would totally check that out if you're just chilling and especially the first season. I think you'll be hooked, but the first season just shocked the fucking hell out of me. The only challenges I always hated was the one with dogs. So boring and dumb.
Oh yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Some of the times it's just so unfair. Like, you pit a 90-pound girl against a 200-pound guy, and then they have a dog come attack them. They're in like a dog attack suit, and the dog weighs 90 pounds. So of course the dog's gonna tackle the girl to the ground, and the guy's clear it with like absolutely no challenge at all. The best ones are when it's like a perfect mix where the women are on even playing field with the men.
Sometimes they really surprise you. You would think like there's no way a guy wouldn't win it, and
Yeah,
then a
dude.
woman does.
Yeah, the women are fierce competitors on that show.
Pretty funny.
Definitely. Like, and I now remember the last challenge of the first episode again blew my mind. They had a taxi hanging from a crane at this absurd angle, just insane
Yeah.
angle, and you had to climb to the back and get a flag.
And they made it rainy.
And they made it rain. So I was like, how the fuck can anyone do this? And of course, no, I don't. Well, I think one guy did complete it, but the first guy slipped off and like almost broke his arm trying to catch on and grab himself.
Yeah.
And he fucking destroyed his arm. So the first episode was amazing. Like, people were almost dying. They were being it was amazing. Right?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know if either it wore off the shock or they got more conservative.
I think both.
But dude, I don't know. That first season was just fucking like boom, boom, boom. Every episode is a banger, you know. And then there's really funny ones. Listen to me going on about Fear Factor. There's really funny ones where the contestants suck and they just won't do anything, and Joe just berates the hell out of them. Those are really fun to watch too. And there's even an episode where Joe gets in a fight with a dude and puts him in a headlock.
That was pretty epic.
Yeah. It was great. So, yeah, that's it. There you go. I'm complaining. Here I just went another extra half hour when I could have covered all these topics. But I had to fucking.
By the way, we'd like to thank Hulu for sponsoring this episode.
I wish. I do like Hulu though. I like Hulu.
Anything but cable.
I watch Hulu more than Netflix at this point.
Oh, I know why. It's because they have all the reality shows.
And they have all the new shit. Like, you almost don't even need cable with Hulu because they have ongoing shows. Like Bachelor Nation, what up? They put the new Bachelor on. You just have to wait an extra day. But I'm paying $150 for Dish, and they fucking suck asshole.
I can't wait to cancel it.
I'd rather suck the shit out of a cow intestine than pay them another $150. That's not true. Oh, yeah, and the best part of Fear Factor, it's only $50,000 prize. The shit that these people go through.
What the fuck?
No, but even
That's pretty good.
No, it's not. It's not good enough. It's really not. Like, maybe in the first season in like the early 2000s, I mean, I don't know where inflation was at, but 10 seasons later, it's still 50,000. And the shit that they go through.
Sometimes they go up. They had a
Yeah, they do have special
100,000 and the million.
Oh yeah, dude, you guys are gonna love this. They did like a couple of times $1 million special where it's like seven episodes long. And in the fine print, they say the $1 million is paid to the winner over 40 years. So they're still being paid off now, the winners of that shit. That was like $25,000 a year, which I mean is nice, but like you're not a millionaire. And then I'm imagining.
You had a really good point about that.
I'm just imagining these people like they're kind of low life, like just like imagine a dude who won Fear Factor 20 years ago and he doesn't work. He just collects his $25,000 Fear Factor pension.
So in a way, it was like bad for them because it put them in this middle position of like, I don't need to work.
Right.
But then you're
It's not
getting
that much
paid
money.
very little.
25, and then as the years go on, inflation hits you. By the time they pay your ass back over 40 years, that money's going to be worth like so much less. Right?
Yeah.
Because in
40 years, yeah, probably like half of what it was originally.
40 years, who even knows if the government hasn't dissolved yet?
Exactly.
But I just love the image of one of these guys like, yeah, I won Fear Factor. I won Fear Factor 30 years ago. I've got another 10 years left on my pension. $25,000 a year. That's so funny. And the fine print. 40 years.
And then that person ends up with no education, no career.
Oh, it fucking cursed their whole life, winning the show was the worst thing that ever happened to them. You know? Because you think you're a millionaire, but you're so far from a millionaire. You're so far from a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically making the salary of a full-time McDonald's employee. Not to poo-poo their service. I mean, God bless. But that ain't a millionaire. Like, what are the chances they went out and got gainfully employed and was just like, I'm going to make an extra $25,000 on top of this? Someone who appeared on Fear Factor? Hell no. They're celebrating. And then that's basically what The Big Lebowski is about. He was a winner on Fear Factor like 35 years prior. And he's about to run out of money.